To have a shotgun and just to go start shooting off the balcony. What does he want my wife to do? To kill all the owls and doves and birds and stuff? What is he, crazy? So, yeah.
I don't know. Where did he go?
Vice President,
I have no idea where he
my
went.
wife doesn't like shotguns.
He kind of blends.
She prefers the AR-15. Thank you very much. And she'll have it because she wants to. And in the book, I quote George Mason, and I think it's one of the best quotes about guns ever, about the Second Amendment, and why the founders developed it in the first place.
Yeah.
I asked her, what is the militia? It is the whole body of the people. Except for a few public officials. They didn't want politicians in the militia. They want to screw it up, you know? But then he said this: gun control is the best and most effectual way to enslave the people.
That's right.
Now do you politicians get it? Gun control equals slavery. We will not be slaves. We will not bow to you.
Yes!
And I know somebody touched on this earlier, but I want you to know, this is in my books as well. What's the matter with background checks? I'll tell you what's the matter with them. Because you're giving authority to government they do not lawfully have. And so your government, I don't care if it's state level, county level, or whatever, the only way a background check before you can get a gun is lawful is if you voluntarily do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Why? Because you're not a criminal, you're an American, and you don't have to go through that because your government has no authority, no right, no power, no business ever saying to you, unless you submit and unless you subject yourself to my background check, you can't have your Second Amendment. That's not the way our government works. We don't need your permission. We don't need your permission to be here or to exercise our Second Amendment rights, but you need our permission to exist. And you got it all backwards. And these liars in our state capitals and in Washington, D.C. just don't get it. And we will not comply, we will not disarm, because we will not be slaves, and we will not subject ourselves to you in any way. So, now, there was another expert besides Adolf Hitler on gun control. His name was King George III. And we got a bunch of them now. And the founders finally fired the first shot. We don't know really who fired the first shot, but we know the first shot was fired there at Concord, Lexington. And it was all because King George III said, these colonists are starting to get on my nerves. And he was a young punk, but he knew the power of tyranny, and he also knew the power of taking guns away from the citizens. And so that's what they wanted to do. And they came in to confiscate the arsenal of the American people. And they said, nope, that's it. You're not taking our guns because we have no recourse. In America, it was set up this way that we are in charge of government and that we have the authority. What does the Declaration of Independence say? That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, what ends? Life, liberty, and property, or the pursuit of happiness, it is our job, it is our duty, it is our right to throw off such government and establish new guards. How could we ever do that if we were disarmed? We could never do it. So you don't disarm no matter what, and no matter how they paint this, you don't disarm. In my book, The Magic of Gun Control, has a chapter that says this: gun control in America is against the law. It's against the law, specifically against the law. And you know how long it would take you to find that out? Historically, research it. It would take a second grader maybe 5 minutes. Because it's there, it's bold, it's part of our history. And we have a lot of work to do, my dear friends. And I want you to know that there's something else that I'm going to do. And I don't want to do it. And my wife really doesn't want to do it. But there was a group of people that were looking for answers to what we're doing. And they formed a committee, and they formed a website, and they got together and they said, let's call this the Constitutional County Project. And we're going to try to make at least one county in America a complete and entire constitutional county. And now imagine that all of you and all of us that similarly live in Utah and Arizona, Colorado, all lived in the same place. Can you imagine that? And we are the town councils, and we are the county commissioners, and I am moving there to run for sheriff. Look this up, constitutionalcountyproject.org. This group got together and came to me. I wasn't part of it. They came to me and they told me about this, and I said, this is tremendous. This is what I've said for years. If we're going to take back freedom, we have one opportunity to keep it peaceful, and that is the enforcement of state sovereignty by our sheriffs and by our state and county legislatures. We can keep this movement peaceful, my dear friends. We can. You have to have them on board, though. You have to have some of them. You have to have some sheriffs. And so they said, we want all of that to happen in Navajo County in Arizona, and we want you to come there and run for sheriff. And I said yes. My wife said no. This is one time I'm going to be the boss. We're moving. And it's 3 hours from where I live now. It's you've heard the song Standing on the Corner in Winslow, Arizona? Yep. Winslow, Arizona is in Navajo County. I will be the sheriff of Winslow, Arizona. Okay? The election is in 2016. I want you to carefully, prayerfully consider moving there with me. And I'm serious. You want to live in a free county? You want to live by constitutional law? You want to not be worried about federal government coming in and ruining your lives and families and hauling you off at midnight? Come live with us there. We're going to do this. We're going to make it a constitutional county and show everybody the blueprint for freedom. And there's a lot more people running for other offices than me. I just said I'd run for sheriff. We're going to give this one more try. The election is in 2016. I'm going to be moving there in spring of 2015 so I can start getting ready for this. You have about 1.5 years to decide, okay? And I'm dead serious about this. If I can move there, so can you, okay? Especially retirees. Let's do it. I'm tired of this. I don't know what else to do. We've got to do something. We've got to do more. And I don't know if a lot of you knew this because the media didn't pick up on this. I was at the Bundy Ranch. There were two things that I was really impressed with. One was that the Bundys are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. And especially Mrs. Bundy, Carol Bundy, Cliven's wife. What a wonderful, true patriot, mother and daughter and lady of America. That's this wonderful lady. But the other two things that really got to me were, one, the federal government established a corral, not for the cattle. Well, they did that too, but they established another corral for you. And you could only do free speech if you were in that corral. And if you weren't doing it in the corral, they hauled you off to jail. And so when I went up there, I told my wife, I said, man, I got to get in that corral. She goes, don't do anything stupid. Then I said, I'm going to tear that corral down. I don't care what they do to me. Yeah. So all the way there, my wife has my other kids calling me and said, Dad, don't do anything stupid. I said, I'm not. I'm just going to tear down the corral. Okay? And dang, I never got the chance. But we don't go in any corrals. Not from anybody. And they try to do the same with the Second Amendment. But another thing happened when the situation got the most tense, and the order to kill innocent, unarmed men and women was given by the federal government. And it was looking like it was going to happen, that people were going to be killed that day. And another civil war possibly starting there at Bunkerville, Nevada. A deputy sheriff saw this about to happen, and he ran over into the middle, and he put himself in the way, and he put himself between the protesters and the BLM and their hired hitman, their hired murderers. And he stopped it. His name was Deputy Tom Roberts of Clark County Sheriff's Office. He stopped it. He stood in the way and he told the BLM to leave. And we have a great example of a true lawman defending, protecting, and serving that happened that day. The story is in the book, Are You a David? It's the tale of two sheriffs. What sheriff do you want in your community? Do you want the sheriff of Clark County who said, the BLM and the federal government can come in my county and do whatever they want? Or do you want the sheriff in Nye County, Nevada, just a county away, who told the BLM, you're not taking Wayne Haig's cattle. You're not taking cattle. You'll take cattle over my dead body. And they told, you know what they told Sheriff DeMayo? They said, we're going to get our SWAT team and come back. And he said, good, I got one too.
Yeah.
So my dear friends, let's keep this movement peaceful. Let's get our sheriffs involved, and let's make this country free again. I promise you, we still have peaceful options. We still have a way to keep this peaceful and regain our Constitution and freedom in America. I love all of you, and I'm thankful that you're here, and I'm thankful that I got to come. It almost didn't happen, but I'm so glad I came. I thank all of you for the work that you've done here.
I don't even do that. I just walk away. The one time I am, I set up.
Let's do it. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Every time my wife pulls that cup, if I do say something,
He's a douche, man. I don't buy his
Let's
products.
get another big hurrah for these people that came so far to be with us today.
It's gone.